to the Law and Ordinance Committee. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. Most of our stuff on the agenda we talked about at our last meeting. Excuse me, pulling it up. I believe the first item was continuing the conversation about crypto ATMs. I think the easiest path forward would probably be a warning sticker. I looked up a couple other cities that had done it. Council Bluffs, Iowa has, and like Omaha, Nebraska have. And the stickers, basically, I mean, they're pretty loud. In fact, I was surprised at how loud they are. And they say like scam alert.
Oh, wow.
Which, oh yeah, do you have one?
Well, someone mentioned, I'm going to just text you, but someone mentioned gift cards, like, oh, well, gift card scams happen all the time.
You found one?
When I went to Kroger and took a picture of they have like, on that one end cap gift card display, there are like 9 warning
Saying
signs
do not buy.
that say, here are the things that are signs of a scam.
Yeah.
No one should ever ask you for these things. Do not use these to pay taxes. Do
Yeah.
not send these numbers to people you don't know.
Which hopefully, again, if that stops even a few people,
Right.
I think that's probably worth it. So I should have done this in the meantime, but I did not. I think maybe even having like the Norwood police logo on it would probably, if I were a Norwood resident who was really freaked out and it said, please just call this number before you do what you're about to do, I would hope they might call. A lot of well, not a lot, I only found the 2 examples, but the 2 I saw also said no government agency will ask you to send money via crypto ATM.
That
And-
says that.
Yes, and I think it also said, the FTC has warnings basically saying like your money is safe in a bank, call your bank before you, which actually my loved one who got scammed was told like the bank might know about it, so don't, they won't know what you're talking about if you say your bank account's been hacked this way, so don't tell them. So maybe just one more warning with the Norwood police logo, a local police force saying, don't do it, may stop them. Because the crypto ATMs, they do have the warnings. But again, even when I clicked on them, I mean, if I were in a rush thinking my grandchild's in jail, I probably would just hit OK 3 times. But maybe, you don't pay something saying you cannot pay someone's criminal bond via this ATM. Maybe that would stop them. I would hope.
So is your thought having like a sign, a requirement of a sign above every ATM?
Yes, I think that would be a path forward. Just something.
No, I think that's a great
One
idea.
more thing that might stop them. In fact, the Omaha one kind of got started, I think, because a customer in the convenience store where they were about to do it, it was 2 grandparents who thought their grandchild needed their bond posted. And someone stopped them and was like, why are you putting $9,000 in this ATM? And they talked them out of it and, saved them $9,000. So just moments of pause can save people a lot of money, a lot of heartbreak and stress. So if it's one more pause, if they think to just make one phone call to someone else who might be like, don't do that, I would love to try to save some money that way.
I'm
But
happy to reach out to Chief Sumner.
we can, I was going to say, maybe a quick meeting with him even. And I'm assuming they're non-emergency numbers equipped to deal with people calling about scams or asking questions about processes like that. So, and if not, maybe we can talk to them. Yeah.
Or the person or whatever. During both, I think both the daytime and also night tour,
Uh-huh.
at least for 16 hours a day. So
Right.
Are any of the ATMs 24-hour access?
Walgreens. Oh yeah, Walgreens is
Just
open 24 hours. So that's true. We'd have to think about the number to put on there otherwise. So we could talk
We
to
could
maybe the chief would
say
have a solution.
Off,
Yeah.
call the off hours number, and
if you
sometimes
call
they
it,
don't
I mean,
answer.
I think the county dispatch will pick it up.
I've only had to call
it. just
it-
rings.
I'd say I've only had to call it one time.
Yeah, so maybe you could put the Hamilton County Dispatch number on there.
That's true. Yeah, we could talk to, I think Chief Sumner would
Someone,
probably know
yeah.
best, or someone at the police department.
Yeah,
Um,
I like the idea of having a number to call.
yeah, and I think like a local police,
Not a 1-800 number.
right,
Yeah.
would hopefully, yeah, if anyone's really freaking out, would give them some pause.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be the easiest path forward, and that's pretty easy to check, pretty easy to go put those on the machines. I noticed the other ones, like a couple of them had like full size, like 8x11 sheets on the side. I think a sticker probably would be better, like in someone's eye line. But I believe in Omaha they had a grandma posse is what they were called, and they went and checked to make sure the machines had them because one of the grandmothers had been scammed. So
Well, we don't have that
I know, I don't know
many
if we'd
here,
have
so,
a
yeah.
volunteer force who would be interested in doing that, but
But we could get stickers made for free at the library.
yes. So we have options.
I love that.
Yeah. So as long as the police, talk to the chief and figure out if he's interested in helping us out with this. But yeah, I think you suggested the sticker, so thank you for that.
Oh.
This is but yeah, so that's what I was thinking. We can put it on the agenda again after we talk to the chief and figure out if he's interested in putting our local number on it. And if not, I'll try to figure out someone else who is. But I think you're clicking on the same article I did. If you go
Oh,
back,
yeah. I'm
there's
trying to get the picture. It's behind a paywall.
It is. So if you go back, there's like a local news station under that one that you can click on. And there's some we can even like lift some language from the FTC warnings about the bank. Your money, never move or transfer your money to protect it. I feel like that's a good tip. Hopefully, things like that. And then our second agenda item was our permeability resolution. I know our law department sent us a draft that I thought looked pretty good, but I know Mr. Skelly is here to talk about it as well. So I wanted to invite you out. If you have anything you want to add?
Good evening. So I did receive a draft of the amendments to the zoning ordinance related to the section dealing with parking in our zoning ordinance. On first blush, it's pretty straightforward. I didn't have any major issues, but typically in these type of things, at least for myself, how I'm trying to help someone out, I just want to look at what was the origin, what's the genesis, what's the purpose, and is there a better way to kind of go about regulating it? Typically for stormwater management, you have kind of three sticks. You have the zoning ordinance, you have the stormwater management ordinance. Now, we technically do not enforce that. That's MS, whatever. Yeah. Now, we could have our own and be very specific and provide for more detailed level granularity, waivers, exception. So that's the second option. And the last one, and I was just doing quick research today, so we have the ability to tax it, what I call the rain tax. So right now, the auditor does, if you look on your property for residential, commercial, I think it's under supplemental, you actually pay anywhere between $4, $6, $7 per year, which goes towards that. Now, you could probably increase it. I think then people want to see some manifest improvements to their neighborhoods. So that's almost a way sometimes for business improvement districts where you provide additional funds to update whatever, streetscape, roads, or whatever. So those are the three sticks that you have. I think the zoning is probably an easy fix.
Yeah.
But aside from trying to address the origin, how you want to address it, it's also figuring out how it will impact the community. Prior to this meeting, we did talk briefly. So I think when we do with studies, looking at the city in whole, I think the west side primarily has smaller lots. So they would probably be disproportionately affected. On the east side, you have kind of slightly larger. So at the end of the day, you don't have to have the best evidence or the best data. You just have to what's reasonable,
Right.
what's acceptable, and what you think the community will bear. So that's at least a lay of the land I'm looking at. But with regards to what I saw, again, this would be inserted on the section that relates to parking, and the way it's written does address carports, the detached garages, so you're in that appropriate thing. But sometimes the issue might be more fundamental. People just putting a patio down. It could be an elevated pool. I handed out, I don't think you have one. Just a quick snapshot of one smaller neighborhood, and that's on the west side of Montgomery. And as you can see, there's some properties that have more driveway space. There's also accessory sheds or a carport. You see probably some elevated pools. So you have all sorts of different structures that do impact runoff. So I would say this is good because people probably would be increasing the impervious for parking related
Right.
or storage. But there's other things that kind of make up. So again, you have to make sure that you're being somewhat fair. People may just want, hey, I want paver stones or I want whatever. And they could put, flower pots. So anyways, just some initial thoughts, but I believe you had this draft prepared by the law director. So if you want to circulate it to myself and to Ralph Wolf, the head of the building department, by all means, we'd be interested in look at it.
Okay.
So,
I'll forward it to Ralph. I did not do that.
sure. Any other questions or?
I'm curious, the only, I'm all for this. The only question I have is about pools, I think, which is just sort of, I'm wondering if there are spaces like yards or neighbors who have, say, a small lot and want to put in a pool, would have to be then less than half the lot.
Well, I think the draft does specifically say paving.
It says driveways, open air parking, detached garages, and carports.
May not occupy more than 50% of the
So
total
the
rear yard.
pool would be fine.
So I don't think a
I would
pool
think.
will have-
Well, yeah, it's not addressed.
Area, but if
Okay.
it's just on a,
Grass.
yeah.
And if it's an in-ground pool, that would also be fine then.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, like I
think
said,
that was
it
the only
really
sort
comes
of
to the origin in
pause.
terms of if you're looking at more of a global issue with regards to impervious, there's a lot of things that cover the ground that don't infiltrate.
Right.
If you're just saying, hey, it appears that on the most part, and it's probably a correct assumption that you have a lot of car, auto-related storage related to parking, then yeah, sticking it under 1153 is, makes sense.
Yeah, the amount of this paving is just really not great. And there's also, there are no trees, just those have got to be hot spots.
It does tend to alleviate some of the street parking.
Yes.
Yeah. It does.
And I'm not speaking for or against it, I'm just saying that a lot of at least I think that some of the Xavier, the people that are catering to the Xavier students,
That is who have,
like to pave a lot of the back of their.
yes, that's actually what Mr. Skelly printed off. But it's in Ward 1 and it's on Ivanhoe. Yeah, that's where they've paved 3 backyards.
Completely.
And I know that, there's a difference in my mind between providing some additional parking and making a parking lot.
A major parking lot. Yeah, it's basically a parking.
These are like 10 and 12 car parking flats. Like this is not, I cannot imagine a house in Norwood that would require 10 vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty big lot. Which, I don't know. I guess I spent my 3 years in law school living in Clifton and had to park blocks away from my house. So
Well, and I also noticed
I'm used
that
to
there's-
the mean streets of street parking, I guess. at
This is
point.
all, there's all the street parking is open.
Yeah, I don't know what time of day this is,
Right.
but Ivanhoe's not actually,
There's a bunch of
Ivanhoe's not
cars
terrible to
parked.
drive down most mornings. You still have to kind of do the Norwood thing of pausing, but I don't think Ivanhoe's too bad, and Carter's not too bad either.
What was this photo taken?
No idea, it's from the county.
Okay.
It's
so
from
yeah,
Cages, yeah. I think this was all paved probably in the last, I don't think it was more than 2 years ago. I would think it was probably in like the last 2 years that this was done, because I remember it happening.
Looks kind of fresh.
Yeah. It's pretty fresh. So, Yeah, and it looks like someone did
Four
the lot
houses,
across the
there's
street.
one across the street too.
Same
I don't know
owner.
who owns that one. I know,
Same
obviously.
owner.
Oh, is it? Okay, I would say I paid more attention to the one where they took out like 3 yards. So,
I just looked it up.
yeah. Which, you know, I of course want them to alleviate parking issues, but we got to think of stormwater and runoff.
Long term.
Yeah. And we're only going to get more rain, it seems. So, in the next couple of years. So. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Scanlon.
No, thanks.
And I would say if you have any other changes, I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing I would say
Did you
just,
want to get back to me about it and then?
yeah, the only thing I would say, at least more of a syntax suggestion. So after, on the second line, 50% of the total rear yard, I would put a hard stop period and then start off provided or whatever, which provides for the potential relief using the
Okay.
BZA.
More grammatical for Mr. Moore.
Yeah, just sometimes like,
Yeah.
I guess
No, those
Tim Gary can attest to
those
sometimes
periods and
a
commas
comma isn't
matter.
important and things
They
like that. So,
matter.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. I will let him know. Sorry, now I'm just taking notes. Okay. And then, of course, I don't have my agenda pulled up, so I don't remember what our third thing was.
Records. Public records policy.
Oh, yeah, and no one's here to give comments. Did you two have any suggestions regarding the public records policy?
This is the body cam.
Yes. I think we're, yeah.
My only comment is I do feel like the $50 is appropriate. It's based on our costs. We still lose money, but it sort of can stem the hemorrhage. That's
Yeah.
where I'm at.
I'm glad we had the discussion because, like I said, I understand where Mr. Powers is coming from. I definitely understand where the police department's coming from. It is a tough situation, but
I know. I mean, I've done public record requests for body cam. Actually, I just recently did it, and it took, I think, about 4 weeks. No, more than that. I could look it up, but it was quite an amount of time. So I'm just thinking of how backlogged they are, and I mean, perhaps it would be worth taking a look at to see if people are finding it problematic or if it is working effectively.
oh, like check back in on how the fees are going. Yeah, yeah. Did you have anything to add, Mrs. Bowling? No. I know
No,
we
you're
were
not a
all
fan.
I know we were all interested in trying to.
I don't think that a barrier for transparency for the public, I am concerned about the long-term legality of this in any rate. It is unusual to put a cost barrier on public information. It feels fairly unethical to me. We are paying the staff who are doing this hourly, under my understanding, so it's not as though this is unpaid time for them, and I understand that's costing us money, but I think that's our obligation as public entities, that we have to be transparent, and putting a cost barrier on that makes it inaccessible to folks who's certainly there are people who are putting requests in for their own profit, and that's very irritating, and it's weird that there's even a market for that. But we have no way of knowing what people's intentions are or what their needs are when they put their request in, and so treating everyone as though they're an inconvenience and using this for their own profit and making for some people it immediately inaccessible is concerning to me. And the way that it was brought about at a state level is concerning to me.
I agree. I don't like the way our state legislature went about it.
And I'm just wondering, I haven't been able to find much information about other states doing this, and so I'm really wondering whether this is even going to be upheld in the long term, because it feels unethical, and it feels like it violates public information policy. So I don't know. I am not in favor of this kind of in any iteration, but
Fair enough. All right. If we have no suggestions for edits, then I will not reach out to Mr.
No,
Power.
no, I don't think there's,
We can-
I don't know what edit could be done that we like have the manpower.
Right.
It wouldn't just be creating more labor.
Right.
Certainly nothing that would like increase the efficiency, which I understand is the point here, but
Yeah.
efficiency at what cost?
Correct.
But no, I can't think of an edit that is feasible.
Fair enough. Okay. If you gentlemen don't have anything to add?
I don't, guess I'm not quite feeling quite as, I guess what I characterize as jaded about the motive for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I deal a lot with, talking with the police department about what constitutes an exempt record versus a public record.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly understand the pressure that they're under.
Mm-hmm.
And they have one public information officer, and they work really a lot, steadily to deal with these body cam issues. And I think it's simply an opportunity to cover a portion of that public information officer's amounts of salary, I guess.
Yeah.
And I certainly accept that and respect it. I'm guessing if we didn't have money, Maggie wouldn't be doing what she does.
Who wouldn't?
She's the.
Oh, Maggie Pascal.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
No, that's, and I think for me, it's kind of a reasonable balance. And I think it's more likely to avoid some of the, on the one hand, I understand how it's public information way.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it sure feels like almost harassment sometimes
Mm-hmm.
with some of their individual requests. But there's no way to, there's no way to really regulate that.
Yeah.
Other than to impose a little bit of investment cost.
Mm-hmm.
Not even investment, that sounds, I don't know, cheesy. To recover some of that cost,
Yeah.
put a little skin in the game, if you will.
Yes.
For clarity's sake, if I'm a victim of a crime and I request the body cam from,
If it's
The-
requested in discovery, you request it individually as an individual, there is a charge. If it is requested in the discovery of your
An ongoing court case.
ongoing court case, there is no charge. But if you were arrested and you feel individually that you were mistreated during your arrest, you would need to pay to request your body footage. Assuming your case was closed, that was a done deal, then you would need to pay to request that. And I want to be clear, my concern about this has nothing to do with motive. I don't think that our police department is ill-intended with this. I understand where it's coming from. I think there can be unintentional consequences regardless of motive. I don't think that our police department is wrong for wanting to recoup some of the costs. I understand this is timely.
Mhm.
I think we have an obligation to be transparent. in
I
this
mean,
way.
I'm thinking of one particular requester who, every time she contacts the police, she orders these body
Mm-hmm.
because she can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, like I said, I think virtual harassment in that instance, but,
Seems like a legal slippery slope to me. Seems like then do we start charging for other kinds of records requests? Do we start?
Well, we
those are
already
in-
charge for actual, or we can charge for the actual cost of production of whatever kind of document is being requested. Now, normally people say, oh, we'll just take the computer form and that's fine, we're happy to do that. We already charge for other types of
For paper
other
copies.
forms, theoretically,
Mhm.
we can charge the actual cost.
Right.
And so if we're furnishing somebody a disc, we can charge them $2 or
Right.
whatever for the disc,
Right.
or a nickel a page for the copy.
I think the courthouse, we do 10 cents a page. depending on what,
Sure.
Right.
The materials,
yeah. So, all right.
but you don't charge for the time.
No,
I think that's the difference here. We don't charge for the time spent doing the record.
Well, generally, you don't either.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We don't do that currently, and this would change that. Charging for the materials that we have to spend money on in order to like deliver that product to you is one thing. Charging an hourly rate for that discovery period feels very different to me.
But there's a ceiling. There would be a ceiling.
yeah,
Yeah,
But I guess-
$750, that is
It seems
pricey.
like $750 for me and $750 for somebody else is so different. Like that feels very fickle. It just feels like sort of arbitrary. Because we don't know what people's financial situation is. We don't know.
yeah,
It feels weird for us to determine like what's reasonable to pay for what has until now been free
Free.
public information.
yeah.
I think, and I'm not, this doesn't disagree with you, but in a
You're totally
comp,
allowed to
well,
disagree with me. That's okay.
well, my point is not to have this null your argument, but a further complication is that for me to pull out a file and make a copy is very different than the time it takes for them to do the body cam. So for me, the cost is, yeah, again, we're not making a profit, so it doesn't feel predatory.
I don't
But-
think that it.
Right.
I'm not concerned about it feeling predatory. I'm concerned about it
Being lack of access.
Inaccessible to people.
Which of course I trust Norwood Power,
Absolutely.
like currently, but like I
understand our
said,
current
my concern is,
position. Like,
yes,
I trust that if there were a situation where someone was, but I don't trust that that will happen
Forever.
for all of time.
right, right.
And I wish that there was a feasible way that we could have some ability to grant exceptions to this based on people's financial situations, but I understand that's not feasible.
Right.
But to me, if that is not feasible, then neither is the program at all. Like,
Right.
It feels like if we can't grant exceptions where exceptions are appropriate,
Correct.
then we're just functionally creating a unilateral barrier for an entire demographic. And that seems like there's a big lack of equity there. It seems like there's like some ethical questions there.
Has any other community made decisions about it?
I think just Youngstown is who I saw.
Youngstown are the only people that I could find that have done anything based on this state legislation, which means we would only be, as far as I can tell, the second municipality in the state to do it. Which
And
is also concerning to me.
I think, and the state passed it in December.
It was during lame duck, yeah. It
Yeah.
was like the last couple weeks of December.
So,
Then it wouldn't have taken effect till what, April?
oh, okay. So we're like right on top of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I almost would like to like give it a little more time and see how it's implemented elsewhere, because if there is an ability to manage some sort of exceptions process that someone else has figured out, I would like to I don't know that I feel like we need to be first in line. I'm not saying no to this forever. I think that it would behoove us to bide our time a little bit and see what other municipalities are going to do and see if they come up with a system that, as we've all learned, much of legislation is seeing what everyone else is doing and seeing if they've thought of something that we haven't thought of yet, and I think that might be beneficial in this situation.
And I had a hard time finding the actual language of the Youngstown statute online. I don't know if you found it, but I didn't. I didn't see it. I looked before our last meeting.
I would imagine they just passed it, though,
Yeah.
so it may not have been published yet.
I think it had been passed like right before last meeting. So yeah, it hadn't
Yeah,
been.
it probably just isn't published yet.
So, but okay. So we can keep that on the agenda.
Yeah, I think
And
there's going to be
keep it
lots
in
of
here?
discussion about it in the next
Yeah.
couple meetings.
I was hoping we'd have some public comment, but no one's come and no one came to our last city council meeting for that. So, okay. Well, this was a nice short meeting. Anybody else have anything to add about any of those items? Okay. I'll talk to Chief Sumner. We can schedule our next, we can just schedule this once we talk to him and get some stuff worked out, I think. Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.